and welcome back to the Reapers. So we're in our Ka-50 again. Now we recently did a video just showing how to do low-level bombing with the CCIP pipper in the HUD here. So we're going to do something a bit more complicated today. First of all, we're going to show off the Datalink. So that's the ability to share target information between Ka-50s in a group. And then with that information, we're going to show a different style of bombing. Do you want to describe that style of bombing, Shkval?
Yeah, so it's basically almost an old-fashioned bomb site type of bombing using the Shkval as a bomb site.
And we're going to do that from a relatively high altitude of like half a click up in the air or something, yeah?
Yeah, you will need at least an altitude of 200 meters, but high is generally better since you'll be able to see more on your Shkval.
Roger that, and we're arming up with, each of us have got 4 times Fab 250 dumb bombs. Right, shall we start setting up the bird for this? So the first thing is, because we're going to be doing Datalink, we're going to make sure that we're on the same radio frequency, yes?
Yep.
Are you on 1240? Lovely. The next thing I'm going to do is look to my right panel and check that my Datalink SATFL switch is up. This is basically the Datalink switch, presumably. Lovely. Regards to Abris, do you want to be on nav then map, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's the best, and you can also, zoom in and zoom out and so.
Roger, nav, and then map. We're on a tiny little island, as you can see.
And I will set myself to number 2 and wingman.
Right, so we're doing that down here. I am setting myself to number 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. We can have 4 in a group, and we're assigning ourselves to the same group, essentially. I'm going to be commander, yes?
Yes.
So I've set myself to commander here. Charlotte set himself to wingman here. Okay.
We should probably turn on the laser. That's next to your left knee, the 4th switch.
So we're going to be using that for the Shkval. Roger that.
Other than that, we are ready to go. One more thing we can set up actually is our ballistic selectors. So since we have Fab 250s on all 4 pylons, that'll be 7 on both of the selectors.
Roger, this is something we need to do. So this left the toggle switch at the back here is for the outer pylons. This right one here is for the inner pylons, and we need to set them to tell it which bombs, which type of munitions we're using. And we have a list of what the different numbers mean. Well, I don't have that to show you here, but suffice to say, number 7 is for the Fab 50 the Fab 250 dumb bomb. And 7, there we go. Out of interest, for where is there anywhere people can go to get that information about which?
Well, I think there's actually a mod that will put a little plaque in your cockpit to show that. I personally just have a little picture that lists it all.
Oh, so just Google it, essentially. Okay, 7. Right, all set up. I'm ready to go, Shkval.
Yep.
Okay, let's go and find the targets. It's only across the road, so it should be pretty easy. Right, okay, so this is a super easy mission we've set up just with some bad guys in front of us, some ground targets, just to show off the Datalink and the bombing. So the first thing I'm going to do, these are moving ground targets, aren't they, Shkval? So shall we put that on?
Yep, as well as auto turn as usual, just to make things easier.
Roger that. Right then, Shkval. So the first thing we can show off is sharing information from the Datalink. So I'm guessing it's easier first to you, so you can send that information to me.
So what you do in general, I also recommend you find yourself a target and just save that to Abris. You do that by first selecting on the top left the Datalink panel one of the target types. So the diamond would be armored targets, the little house is AAA or SAMs, and the square is other targets. The big house is just ingress points. So in this case we have armored targets, so I'm going to press the diamond, and then I'm going to press send mem. Now if I look on my map, on the Abris, I will see a diamond with a 1 in the center. You can set multiple targets with the same symbol as well. It'll just have consecutive numbers.
Roger, is there a limit to how many targets you can put in memory?
Yeah, probably, but it's usually going to be enough. I've never run into the problem that I couldn't save anymore.
Roger. So once you've saved that into your memory, are you ready to send that over to me?
Pretty much. We will, however, have to reset a targeting mode. So turn off the Shkval. And once you have done that, you will press the symbol, so in my case a diamond, I will press 1 because I want to send it to my commander, which is you, and then I'll press send mem.
Okay, it says receiving a message. Now what do I do to receive that target?
You also just press send mem. If you want to ignore it, you press clear.
Okay, I've pressed send mem, and let's see what we've got. We do have a diamond now with a 1 in it. So what you've done is you've locked a target with your Shkval, the ground target. You've saved it to your Abris memory, and then you've sent it to me. I've received it, and it's now in my Abris memory, as I understand it. That's right, yeah? Right, okay. So before we prosecute that, shall we try that the other way around so I can try and send you a target?
Absolutely.
Right, so stand by. I am going to get my targets, my head-mounted display. Out of interest, you know which one you've sent to me? Oh, it doesn't really matter. It'd be unlikely I'd choose the same one.
Like the one that's closest to the coast, I think.
Roger, I'll get one that's to the left of that. Stand by. Right, so I'm going to select this chap here. I'm going to press lock. I've now got a range on it, and essentially I'm ready to send that target over. So I go to the top left now, don't we? And it was this diamond one, send vehicle, or select vehicle.
Yep.
Then send mem to put into my Abris.
Exactly.
And I should, in theory, have a secondary target. And yeah, you can see they're overlapping each other, but that's target 1, that's target 2. Okay, Stahl. And now, shall I send it over to you?
Don't forget to reset your Abris, your Shkval first.
Right, now why is that? Why do I have to reset my Shkval?
I'm not sure why, it just won't work otherwise.
Roger, I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to quickly show you the keys that I'm using to do this. So, to uncage the Shkval, to basically turn it on, was that there. To reset the Shkval, essentially turn it off, I was using that there. I'm going to be using that to fire. And for my helmet-mounted display to help lock on, essentially, to help get the Shkval in the right place, it was that. Okay, I'm going to cancel that.
Right.
So I'm going to click up here to the vehicle. I'm going to click 2 this time to Wingman 2, and I'm going to click send mem to send it over to you.
There we go, I got that.
Okay, right, you've got that. So have you got now 2 targets, targets 1 and 2?
They're overlapping, but I do.
Lovely, right, so that showed how we can send multiple targets between Ka-50s in the group. Anything to add to the data link, Star?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to send a target where you have multiples from, then you'll just have to press the target symbol multiple times.
Roger.
You will see, as soon as you press it now, one of the 2 targets will start to flash. That's the one you'll send. You will also notice, if you then press 2, for example, and you look at the Abris, you will see that I will start to flash, so it means you can send it to me.
Roger. Okay, should we start setting up our weapons for our bomb run then?
Yeah, sure.
Right, so I'm going to go Master Arm on. I'm going to select weapons. I've got my outer pylons, my Fab 250s, Bomb Arm on. So, we've done the data link, and we've got 2 targets marked up, 1 and 2. So what we want to do now is attack one of those targets using our high-level Shkval bombing technique. So what we want to do is we're going to select one of the targets first of all, click him, and let's check that one of them is flashing. So it's got number 1 selected. If I click that again, it would select number 2, and number 2 would be flashing. Next, I'm going to click download ingress. So what that's done, essentially, that has what has that done, Star?
It has given the autopilot systems the information where the target is.
Roger, and we can prove that it's done that because it's no longer flashing on the Abris, but it does have a cross through the target. So it has that navigation information now. Okay, and I can actually see the helicopter started to turn for that target now. Next, I want to select my weapons. I did select them before, but I'm going to select them again. So I've selected the outboard bombs that we've got there. I want to turn on my Shkval, so let's turn him on. Okay. And it's tracking on that target that we've got there. Now what we want to do is turn the automatic tracking off. And what you can see is that it's just kind of gone crazy. It's basically slewing downwards. The Shkval is now slewing downwards, and the reason it's doing that is because it's actually going to act as a bombing site. So it's basically looking below our aircraft now, and it's acting as a bombing site. The reason it's wiggling around so much is because our helicopter is currently orientating itself, whatever it's doing, orientating to the target, I expect. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take myself to the target roughly, just to give it a head start. I'm up at kind of 1,000 meters now. I'm going to stop increasing now. That'll do. Okay, I've turned myself roughly onto the target. Try that again. Nope, it's going to fight me. Okay, there. Right, so I've turned myself roughly onto the target there and retrimmed. At this point, it's good to press right shift and enter, or right shift and return, to get our stick controls shown here. This is going to...
right control, if I might.
Right control and return to get this, and this shows where our current trim is set in comparison to neutral, and this will become evident once we start doing the next step, so stand by. Now I just want to neutralize that a little more, so I've just moved it left and I've retrimmed again. I want it perfectly neutralized so it's not left or right at all off the center line, and that's going to come into effect in a second. Right, I'm just stabilizing my altitude first before we go anywhere. Okay, we are now stabilized at 907 meters. Right, the next thing I want to do is turn on the route mode, which will basically drive me, it will drive me to the target, okay? So the binding for that is the R key, so I'm going to press R. And I can see that the on-route mode is on, E and R nav on. And that is going to start driving me to the target. I was hovering there, but my speed is starting to increase now. 3 kilometers an hour, and we may have to speed it up a little bit more. Let's just see how it goes. Yep, it's not going to go very fast, so we're going to speed it up just a little bit. So we're going to move the stick forward, keep it central, and retrim there. So that's retrimmed. Let's see if that helps. It's gone slightly left a bit, so that's just retrimmed there. Okay. So our trim's pretty central. So we are now heading towards the target automatically with our Shkval pointing down as our bomb site. Our bombs are selected, our master arm is on, our bomb arm is on. And now what we're going to see at some point when we get close enough to the target, I've just realised my altitude is changing. Just going to arrest that a little bit. Back you go, sir. Okay, arrested the throttle bit. Altitude will be stable in a second. Yeah, this bomb site, the Shkval bomb site at this point is very delicate, so we have to keep everything as smooth as we possibly can. Now we're going to ensure that the system is driving us straight onto the target, and we can see it's not, it's driving us to the right of the target, which is bad. So we have to find out why that's happening. And the trim is central.
Probably have to adjust slightly with the rudder.
Roger, so I'm going to adjust slightly with the rudder. We're going 35 clicks now, which is a bit faster than I wanted to go, but we'll carry on for the time being. So we're going to adjust slightly with the rudder, try and get back onto target. Not sure why it's slewing to the right, but it is, but let's give it a go. At some point, this target 1 will appear on my actual Shkval screen, so stand by for that. Okay, I'm getting fairly central on target 1. I'm just adjusting the rudder slightly. Doing slightly left, and where is that little target? There he is, and bomb drop. Let's contract those bomb drops. Oh, they're going to hit the target. Looking pretty good, Shkval.
Yep.
Boom! Got him!
That might even be a double kill.
No, we got one of them. That was okay. So basically, it's a really finicky system and takes a lot of practice. So you saw the problem I had there was that my chopper was slewing to the right. It does do that if your trim's not quite right or whatever. So you have to make these corrections with the rudder. But that's it really. So that worked. It worked okay. Have you got anything you want to add to this high-level bombing technique, Shkval?
Yeah, it does require a little bit of practice. As you mentioned, it's very finicky. Wind can be a significant issue, so that is something to always be aware of. If there's any wind, I highly recommend you come in either with or against the wind direction, not sideways on. That's really going to screw you over. When you're approaching a target, it is very useful to always keep an eye on the abris and just zoom in more and more the closer you get. That way you can more easily see if you're nicely lined up and such. And you'll also see more accurately when you're about to get the target into your bomb site. And you can approach it a lot faster, particularly if you're bombing something large like a building. I mean, you're usually not going to use huge bombs for a couple of tanks, since you have other means to deal with those, like Vickers, for example.
I'll do that. And we also mentioned the altitude. You said a minimum of 200 meters, but really you want to be right up here at 1 kilometer in the air, don't you, to keep it away from the flak, and it actually makes it easier up here.
Yeah, it also makes it easier to know when exactly to drop the bomb. If you're very low down, the target will just flash past your Abris and you'll never get the shot.
Roger that. Right, so get practicing that, and I hope you found that useful. Right, we will see you later.